Thank you, Jet. First thing I want to touch on is the fact that we saw Rumble mid.
Yeah.
Right? And we saw it as the first pick after banning out Lissandra. So it kind of implies that they were looking for Rumble mid against Zed.
Yeah, that was a really clever strategy where you know C9, there's basically 2 champions, maybe 3 if you count Kennen, that Hai is going to play, and it's Zed and Lissandra. And you're like, cool, we're also, by the way, as part of this, we're going to ban the Maokai, ban the Lissandra, 2 things that Balls will play, and then first pick the Rumble, which just looks like an innocuous steal. Right? There's no way you see this coming unless you really thought about their strategy here. So I thought it was a really good idea. You saw a lot of mid pressure as well. Zed fairly low escape. You have a couple of slows coming out from Noon and Rumble as well. Good damage output. That's a theoretically good gank. Really smart champ select plan. As you heard Lemon talk about it, the team fight power as a general 5v5, also pretty good. You saw St. Vicious also try to camp mid lane. And then to counteract that, Hai played really passively. He basically never shadowed unless he knew Nunu was nowhere around.
Yeah, and I really like the combination that they had drafted for themselves with the Zed plus the Sejuani against the Nunu Rumble, because that's just a death lane right there for Rumble. He's not going to have really good gank assistance. The Nunu brings like almost no damage to it. So it was just back and forth 2-on-2 brawling there, and you definitely give that to Zed Sejuani early mid.
Yeah, we saw proper focus by the junglers in that mid lane. Now let's move down to the bottom lane where we saw the Nautilus support for the 3rd game in a row here for Cloud9, and it paid off. The all-in from Lucian and Nautilus, just too much for the Morgana Caitlyn to handle.
Yeah, that was actually really surprising to me because you look at the matchup and you're like, okay, if Nautilus hooks and you black shield like as the hook lands, Nautilus goes to this range and is like, I can't hit you. My anchor's not big enough, guys.
Stay away, man.
You're black shielded. I can't hit you at all. I can like smash the ground angrily and break black shield with E, but like that's literally all Nautilus can do. And like sets him up for a binding, sets him up for like a Caitlyn trap. Like this matchup to me looked like it was going to be Gravity's. Now, of course, did not play out that way. Maybe C9 knows better than I do, and that matchup's actually really good for them. But like Caitlyn's got a 150 range advantage. I feel like Morg could outplay Nautilus. But of course, props to C9. And then as level 6 came in, it's like, okay, as soon as you outplay Black Shield, ult, kill. 100% guaranteed, and that was really well played by them.
Yeah, and they didn't lane swap it, right? Like Cloud9 had full confidence in their bottom lane to just win that matchup.
Yeah.
And I think actually that kind of goes in their favor. Like you said, post 6, it's definitely in their favor.
Yeah.
I think early on, Nautilus has a lot of magic damage in his kit that's overlooked. You land the hook, and it's like, oh no, I got him, I don't get all the way there. But then you just wait for another repetition of the cooldown, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, and in fact, C9 got 3 kills from the bot lane. Should have been 4.
Yeah.
Misplay when they glacial prisoned and anchored the same guy at the same time. But a double kill in lane. They brought the Sejuani back down later on, like after they took the turret down. I mean, C9 got all of their lead from the bottom lane, and it was thankful they did because of how rough the mid game was. Again, the team fight composition, the mid game rumble, all very scary things. They're really getting ahead, all very scary. So hey, thanks to C9's bot lane, they managed to kind of stay in the game for a lot longer, and then hey, they could win team fights finally.
I do want to bring that up though and talk about the team fight composition, because Lemonation said that he thought that there was a better team fight for Gravity. I feel like it's just a different team fight, because like you see Kennen, Sejuani, Nautilus to start the fights. You're like, this is team fight comp with some split push from Zed, right? Like they have a lot of options there. And then you see things that are single target, like Nunu, Kate, Aurelia. You're like, that doesn't sound like a team fight comp, but it's the Rumble ulti that makes it happen.
Right.
So like Gravity are good at Gravity are good at counter engaging the fight. Cloud9 are good at picking the fight, but they had to pick the right one. And that's kind of the difference there between them.
Let's pull up our replay. We're going to the final fight of the game, 44 minutes in, 5-0 in favor of Cloud9. And this is exactly what you're talking about here with the proper fight that C9 chose to pick.
All right, so you can see, of course, Gravity starting out. They're on Baron, but C9, just look at the minimap. They are right there. Cloud9 are raring to go on this one. There's even a nice sort of cluster of people for a Sejuani ultimate. And unless you keep Cop safe with Black Shield, keep him blood build, and just withstand in the front line, like, if you can keep Kennen from walking back and forcing Rumble and Morgana, everyone to have a really hard time, then you're fine. But you need time for Cop to free hit so you can win this. So let's roll the clip out. Watch what happens. Zed's off on the side. So there's not even a retreat path for Cop. Meteos in the front line. He's ready. Saints trying to bully the team out. The Rumble ulti. He tries to force the engage. Look,
boom.
There's no equalizer anymore. He tried to force the engage because they're panicked and Zed's flanking them. And then Kennen does whatever he wants. Cop can't do anything. Okay, he's skirting the Kennen. That's nice. But there's another ninja here called Zed that just destroyed him right there. And nothing could really be done. Great flank by Hai to make this happen. Really, I think, very unfortunate equalizer, because all it took was for the team to go back in, and then all that team fight power that they were afraid of is gone. And that was brutal. The other thing I want to point out about this team fight power, though, is the Kennen build. And I've seen a lot of Kennen builds. I know you agree with me on this one, Irene. I hate Riley's on Kennen. I think it's garbage. Zhonya's rush is good. Get a Void Staff. He was going for a death cap. He got Leandri's because he's fighting some tanks. Why not? Damage Kennen, I think, is really freaking good. If you one-shot the entire team over the course of Zhonya's, you're going to win the fight. Slowing them down, I think, not very important. Very happy to see Damage Kennen. I think it was the right choice, and it allowed C9 to win some of these fights.
Yeah, then it's just a matter of positioning from him. A couple other things I do want to touch on is the fact that, Jat asked Lemon about it, C9 seems to be breaking down a little bit in their decision-making and shot calling, which is very uncharacteristic of the way that we've seen them since their, initiation into the LCS. I mean, like, how can this be fixed? What is the issue here that the team all of a sudden is making uncharacteristic missteps?
I think some people are getting caught and they don't seem as cool and level-headed as they did before. Some people are taking weird routes when they're like, all right, let's rotate and get that rotational game going, where they're like pushing inhibs. And I think that last fight was very characteristic of how Cloud9 used to be, because that was a very big power vacuum. They're like, Rumble ulti is what we're waiting for. It's all their team fight power. As soon as that goes down, just the whole thread of the fight reverses, and then it's all about Sejuani Kennen. And they need to be able to analyze that before the game gets into the actual rift. Like, when they see the champions come down, they're like, this is what we should be doing against this team. This is how we're going to play the game. And if they don't, I think they're falling into what they've been doing for a lot of the season, is they don't judge the other team's power at certain points in the game, and that's what's falling behind. So it's positional errors and judging of the power.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk about Cloud9 being a team that's probably the best in North America at adapting to patches. They seem to always know how to play the game the day it's released. Support Nautilus, for example, all day, every day, working really well, right? Like, these guys seem to understand the way that League should be played. But since 5.5, and I mean, even a couple weeks before, we've been seeing a lot of new things come out, right? The Victor made just because people decided, you know what? Teamfight comps are back. We're just going to play Victor now, guys, just because we decided that's how League of Legends is played now. And on one hand, it seems like C9 can't play that style themselves. High is still stuck on the assassin chain for the most part. And two, now, it just seems like they're, as you were talking about, kind of a little bit less able to prep for their opponents, less able to react to their opponents. And yeah, when you don't have a very deep understanding of exactly how yours and your opponent's team comps work, it can be a lot harder. I don't know if that's really the case. Yeah. It's really hard to analyze off of very few games. We'll see what happens in C9 in best of fives as playoffs come in. But you're right, it is a weakness of theirs.
All right, lightning quick before we move on. I want to get you guys' thoughts on what this means for playoff race implications, which is that Gravity now essentially has to win tomorrow. Yeah. If Liquid are to 2-0, it puts them in danger of falling out of that playoff spot, and then just in terms of seeding against Team 8. So very important game for them tomorrow, but it also makes the Cloud9 Team Impulse race kind of at the top pretty interesting, given the fact that they picked up that win early this weekend.
I'm a little more interested with people trying to stay away from 7th right now, so that's what I'm going to touch on, is the fact that they have Team 8 who they have to win that game. And it's going to come down to, if Team 8 lose today versus CLG, which is the next match, that it's that game that decides 7th for the most part. So they're going to have to bring it, and both teams have been looking good. It's just Team 8 looks a little bit better at the moment. Right, but they didn't beat them last time, though. They didn't beat Gravity last time. Yeah,
Gravity had some interesting, game plans, though, coming in today. We liked their team comp, so maybe tomorrow things will play out differently for them. We are going to head off the rift for 3.5. When we return, we'll see if Team 8 can take down another top team when they face off against CLG. Keep it tuned right here.
Yeah, I don't like mouse cords at all, actually. I want to switch, but maybe the 402 has a different wire.
I've moved on to wireless. I have ascended from my wired form.
You're getting stronger.
Oh, no! Oh, Dragon goes over to Cloud9. Meteos eats it alive with the boar.
Sejuani. Alright, hook.
Zed ulti.
I might be dead. I'm dead. Nautilus is one hit. Nautilus is dead.
Nice. Lucian.
No, don't chase. You'll probably die, won't you?
Boss was saving the all-day Zhonya's on top of each other, and it is going to be Keen. Cop falling down.
He barely tags him.
He makes it for balls this time. The slicing Maelstrom hitting just about everybody on Gravity. They get wiped out.
That is what they were looking for.
Cloud9 take down Gravity.